Hello everyone. In today's video, I will discuss about the social construction of gender. And this video is a continuation of the previous video. In the last video, I have discussed how we can understand the social construction of gender and what are the various characteristics or features of the social construction of gender. In today's video, I will particularly focus on two important concepts. These are natural attitude of society towards gender and doing gender. Kessler and McKenna, who conceptualized the concept of natural attitude towards gender, and they basically used the Goffman's uh, idea of the natural attitude of society. So natural attitude of society towards gender, this is one concept, and second one is doing gender. This is basically conceptualized by West and Zimmerman. So first I will discuss about the natural attitude of society towards gender, because this is very important concept and very important phenomenon in society. It's not just a concept. It can be used as a conceptual tool to understand the process of the social construction of gender. And this natural attitude of society towards gender itself is a process, itself is a phenomenon. So it both reinforces each other. That is, it is a conceptual tool to understand the process of the social construction of gender, and again this is a part of the process of the social construction of gender. So both concept as well as the phenomenon. So let's discuss. So what is this natural attitude of society towards gender? Basically, in a socially constructed gendered society, the natural attitude of society is biased towards the binary gender. That is, society perceives that only man and woman can be the two gender categories which are accepted, which are legitimized. Other than man and woman, any other gender categories can be rejected in the society and may not be accommodated in the society. So natural attitude is there towards the binary gender. So what is this natural attitude exactly? Natural attitude here means the perception about gender as given. That is, society perceives gender as something given naturally. Whatever natural phenomenon is there in the society, whatever natural phenomena is there in the world, we can't imagine that these can be modified or these can be changed by the human beings. Of course these can be intervened, but the natural phenomena which are naturally given, this is the scientific proof. But the society's construction of any phenomena, there is social phenomena, can be social constructed, which is not naturally given, but society's attitude towards gender is that it is something naturally given. So people in the society believes that man and woman are two natural gender categories which are only accepted, which are only legitimized. Other than this, these men and women, no gender can be accepted or legitimized in the society. Now, man, which is associated with attribute called masculinity, and woman, which is associated with a attribute called femininity. So it is a belief of the society, it is a belief of the people that man can only express masculinity, female can only express femininity. It cannot be interchanged, it cannot be mixed, there cannot be fluidity. So this is the perception of the society, perception of the people, that man means this kind of attributes, this kind of appearances, this kind of social role. Woman means another kind of social role, another kind of appearance, behavior, and the attributes. So basically these are socially constructed, these are socially developed, evolved through socialization process. But whenever the members of the society or the human beings perceives about gender, they only thinks, they only perceives, they only treats this particular phenomenon as natural. That is, they can't think, can't imagine any other gender category, any other gender kind, any other gender practices beyond this normative binary gender model or the binary gender system. So this is how natural attitude of the society towards gender goes on. And in the recent time, there has been a issue which is very popular in the sociological debates and discussion. So these issues are gender diversity, gender plurality, or sexual fluidity, gender fluidity. So diversity in the form of third gender, fluidity in the form of transgender and transsexual. So I'm not going to discuss about this. I will discuss in any other video. So even if these discussions are there, this academic or intellectual debates and discussions is there in the sociology and other allied disciplines, but society at larger level, society in the mainstream level don't accept these categories as normal. They treats them as abnormal, unnatural, because they don't fall into the societal category of man and woman. So this is how society very rigidly constructed binary gender model, and this is what the process of social construction of gender. And how this happens through gendered socialization, because this natural attitude of the society toward gender passes from one generation to another generation. Once a child takes birth, once a child born, then child becomes either male or female through biological features, and once the biological feature is distinguished into male and female, then starts the grooming, then starts the socialization. That means society's natural attitude imposed upon the child. So child has to be either man or woman according to the biological characteristics, that is male and female. So this is the process of the uh, natural attitude of the society towards gender, and this again reinforces the binary gender model. It rejects, it ignores the existence of gender diversity and gender plurality. And I already said that this itself is the process of the social construction of gender. So both reinforces each other. Then comes the second important concept, doing gender. So doing gender here means the uh, gender as activity. Gender is not something which just readily imposed and for once and for once and for uh, doing gender means gender is a kind of activity. It is not something which is imposed for once. No, it is a continuous process. Individuals or human beings in their everyday life practices gender, do gender. That means in their everyday life, all the activities which they do, all the all the behaviors which they expresses is basically gendered, gendered constructed. So every activities, every behavior pattern is gendered in the society. So right from the childhood to the death of a person, and in the everyday life, individuals performs various activities. So all these activities are gendered. So gender is a performance, gender is a kind of activity. This happens through different or distinct behaviors, roles, and it cannot be exchanged, cannot be mixed, cannot be fluid. That means men cannot take up the role of woman, woman cannot take up the role of man. Of course, modern society practices the values of equality, but again, even if it is a very modern society, the constructed constructed ideas, constructed ideologies of patriarchy dominates the entire process of living, entire process of the activity, entire process of the socialization. So doing gender here means whenever a person do anything, person do not as a person but as a man or a woman. And most important point here is that because of this doing gender, the other gender category like third gender or transgender, which is not a category of gender but which is a gender fluid category, basically who follows the gender fluidity or freedom in the sexual orientation and appearances. So when these categories come up in the mainstream society, so this doing gender opposes, because in everyday life there are certain prescribed norms, rules, regulations, values which men do, women do. So they don't fall into these two categories. So that's why in everyday life there gets rejection and opposition. So these two concepts are basically uses as a tool or a analytical scheme for understanding the process of gender construction. And again, these two concepts are this phenomenon of the social construction of gender. So these are both the process and concepts for understanding social construction of gender. So I will continue this discussion in the next video. Thank you very much for watching.